Morning, everybody. Well, it's late morning, but you can see the ducks. It's a December day, but it sure is beautiful out. You hear people out and about because it's a beautiful day to work for late December. It must be 60 out. I think the birds think it's spring. I wish it was, but it's not. I was putting together this rustic bed here. I brought over that fallen log and then that log. I have some flowers that come up, some wildflowers that come up here every year, and then I put these rocks here to kind of keep the soil from washing into the pond and kind of a barrier so the ducks don't keep walking over it. And then I have some leftover compost over there. And say hi to Ratsy. Ratsy. There she is. Sometimes when I'm working in the yard I have to tie her up. She's happy that way. I tie her up because she'll run over into that field, over to where the pigs are, or she'll run over into that field where there's other dogs, or sometimes she'll even run down to the road over there, and it's too dangerous for her. So if I'm not paying attention to her, she needs to be tied up. And be safe. Yeah. So working on this rustic bed here. As I'm going to put some compost in there. And I don't want to put too much because there's already, plants and seeds and things. And there's a rose bush there. And I don't want to, some kind of wild onion, or maybe it's a daffodil, I'm not sure. And then this green carpet came up all over, everywhere, all over the property. You can see it's green, even though it's midwinter. And this green cover crop came up on its own. We had a 3-day spurt of warm weather in late November. And then it came on, and it seems to not mind the cold, and it's covered all the places that used to have grass, that the grass had died off, and now this tiny little cover crop, and I'm not sure what it is, so if you know what it is, please let me know. And then this is a pussy willow here, and it's seen better days. It was big a number of years ago, and then it got diseased, or I don't know what happened. It just got old, maybe. And then it fell over. But you can see life finds a way. You can see there's new shoots there. So I asked not to have it moved. I don't want it moved because, well, first of all, there's all kinds of lichens and decomposers in here, and different kinds of insects that love this kind of thing. And it has several healthy trees in it. This one's healthy here. This one. And this one, healthy. And this one's healthy. And the rest of them are having a hard time. I think I found out what it was. If you can see down there, there's some... See that was bound all around the root. And I pulled that out. And I think it's going to be better this year. I think it was just getting strangled with that vine. So the reason why I'm so fighting to keep this particular tree is because it is the first one the bees go to. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's blooming when it's blooming because it's a little puffy tuft. But the bees go here first out of all of the other trees. And you can hear them buzzing all over it. So I thought, it's very important to keep this tree going and keep a place for the bees to come when they first wake up in the winter, in the spring, excuse me. So this is our duck pond. And you can see the duck house. Lately they haven't been wanting to go into the duck house, and I think it's because it's warm out, and so they just want to be on the pond. And as long as there's enough water, and they can go into the center and stay away from any kind of critters that might want to eat them, like the fox. They're pretty safe out here. However, if the water goes down too far and there's not enough for them to get safety, then we pen them up in there. And they like to lay their eggs in there. They go up there and they lay their eggs. So they like that little house. But lately they've been wanting to be out of the water, and we just kind of pay attention to what they're doing and what they want. And maybe it's because it's been warm and so little insects are being hatched and such, and they're eating those up. But you can hear them. Let's see if we can see them. Yeah, they're way over there on the other side of the pond. They're doing their own thing. We have 2 hugelkultur beds here. There's one, and then here is the other. The only thing is we've never successfully grown anything here, and I'm assuming it's because by the time we grow stuff, all of these trees have leaves, and then it's not getting enough sunlight. So this year, my goal is to put plants that don't need direct sun. So I'm not sure what I'm going to put. I'd like to put something. We had strawberries here one year. The other thing is it needs to be something the ducks won't eat. Because obviously they'll come up out of that pond and just nibble away at all the seedlings. So it has to be something they don't particularly like. So I've got to do a little research and find some information on that. Find some information on what I could plant in the shade that the ducks won't eat. And then here's our old apple tree. That's a very old tree. And there's an old holly tree. And the birds love this tree in the winter. You can see there's quite a lot of berries still on it. And the birds, the cardinal, I think it's the cardinals. I mean, I'm not a bird expert, but I know that all these berries are gone by spring. And so they must be eating them. It's a nice big tree. Very healthy. They like to hide in here. It's safe for them. There's the big pink dogwood. Now, anyone who has a dogwood tree knows how slow they grow. I mean, you can have a dogwood 10 years, and it maybe only be that big if you're lucky. They grow really slow, but this one, there's no telling how old it is. Because I'm looking at the trunk, and it's just massive for dogwood. Just massive. And it gets covered in pink blossoms in the spring. It's already set all the blossoms. It sets them in fall. Here, I'll show you. I hope you can see them. See, that's the flower, and the whole thing will bloom in the spring. So you can see how big this tree is. I'll put my hand up next to it. So this is a really old dogwood. I mean, the base of it is massive too, especially for the kind of tree it is. I would assume this would be a good climbing tree for a kid, because it comes down low. It'd be a great tree for a child. Oh, there's a branch here. Let me see if I can get that branch down before it falls on something. Oh, let's see. Come on. Here we go. Oh, this will be perfect for the rustic bed. All right. I got another branch for that. Put that in the rustic bed. All of these trees here are volunteers, these little ones. They've all come up on their own. As what we've decided to do in this area here, which was all lawn, is to put it back to trees and fruit trees and different edibles. So what we do in the spring is we don't mow the grass. We usually don't mow until early summer. And then we mow, and then we use the grass clippings that we mow for the birds, for their hay for the winter. So we don't have to buy straw or hay. And at the same time, we're allowing all the seedlings that have managed to make themselves a home in the ground here an opportunity to come up, so that when we do mow, we do so very carefully. And we do so with the intent of leaving what's growing here. So let's look a little further. I'm not sure what this is. It's an old foundation to something, but I'm not sure what. It's been here. It might have been a shed or something. I know it's not the old outhouse, because the gentleman who lived, and you can see the old house is this one. This part is the oldest part of the house right there. He lived, his bedroom was the upstairs right there, his upstairs bedroom. And he told me the old outhouse was over by that second black walnut tree. That one right there, that one. So there's a cement piece there. He said that's where the old outhouse was. So I'm not sure, maybe there was an outhouse before that or something, but this is covered over. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I guess I wonder if it could be a gravestone. I don't think so, but someday I'll dig around and see what it is. But I don't like to disturb if it is, a place of rest. So you can see here all the other trees that have the volunteers. Some of these we actually did plant, though. I mean, some you see where the little white flags are. I think those are oaks that we planted last year. We get some really inexpensive trees from the forestry department, like $1 a piece. And we got our pawpaws that way. We got our pawpaw trees, we got our persimmons. They give you native trees. We have oaks. And last year we planted the oak. And so we did have some that made it. Some make it, some don't. We let them find their way. Obviously, we plant them well and water them well, and then hopefully, and there's where all the rabbits live, all in there. It's like a rabbit warren in there. It greens up, and you can see them hopping out in the morning. Some live over there too. So these are little wild areas left for wild animals. I'll walk around the pond. Now this here is a pawpaw tree. And this last September, we got quite a few pawpaw from here. And they were really, really delicious. It's a beautiful tree. I love the color of the bark. And this is all native. And one of the most important things about having the native trees is that the insects that live will go to a native tree before they will go to a non-native tree. Non-native trees, some of them will maintain or have insects that live on them, but the insects, they like these native trees most. And then you can see here, this looks like a new pawpaw that's come up on his own. And then this looks like a couple of brown birch that have seeded themselves. And I believe this is the persimmon. This is a persimmon tree. I'm not sure what tree this is, but it's definitely doesn't want anybody messing with it because it's got really long spurs. And it looks like it would hurt you. I don't know if we even planted that. I'm pretty sure we didn't. But I'm not sure what it is. But like I said, we would let the trees, you can see, let's see if I can get it. There, you can see all the thorns on this. And it's not definitely a tree. And then there it looks like another pawpaw. And then that in the background's a pear tree. And then we have this big old cedar here. He's looking kind of shabby right now in winter. But the squirrels like this guy. They live in here and they are in here all the time. Squirrels like this particular. I'll back up so you can see it. Close up it looks worse than it is, but he's pretty big. I don't want to step on anything. I watch where I'm backing up to. There we go. Yeah, it's a nice big, it looks like one of those trees that were planted, like out in front of somebody's house, but it's just gotten to be huge. We cut it back over here a little bit because we do have a path we use, so this we do cut back. So, oh, there's the ducks. They're trying to decide what to do. They see me walking about and they're not sure. Should we be here? Should we be there? Is she coming towards us? They are very shy, the ducks. I mean, even if you have food. They're very skittish. We have 3 drakes and 7 hens. I don't know if you call a female duck a hen. I know you call it a drake, is the male. Yeah, so we've got that, and there's their house again. Got this little fence up here. It doesn't go all the way through. We don't really to fence our yard, but the ducks will go out, and then that's not our property over there. That belongs to someone else, and that kind of keeps them from wandering onto other people's property. Now, there isn't a fence in there because they're not going to go through that dense bush. So just where it's open, we don't have one back there either because it's too dense for them. I mean, I'm sure they could make their way through, but I think this is another persimmon here. This one here. It has a particular kind of bark, doesn't it? You can see a particular bark. That's the persimmon. I have 2 of these right here. It's pretty. The road's down there. Oh, somebody thinks they're fast. Somebody thinks they're very fast. That's funny, isn't it? But I understand. Those young ones. Yeah, so this is the back side of the pond. My husband built these benches. We have 2 of them. I have one here I like to sit in to watch the pond. And then I have one over on the other side of the property. But my brother-in-law got these end pieces, these cast iron pieces. He got them at the dump. And then my husband built the slats, painted them, stripped them, built slats for the bench, and then built it. Because he's super talented. So let's see here. And then we have just piles of leaves that we're not going to disturb because there's all kinds of little creatures living in there over winter. And then I think Oh, the ducks are wondering why is she over here. They're going to come peek at me. I'm going to come peek. Has she got food down? Oh, I can tell they're up on their island. And then since we've been here, there's all kinds of little trees growing just on their own because we don't cut them down. I mean, just here in front of me, right here. Not these big trees, but these little teeny pines. Oh, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little pines. And I think I'll probably pull off that creeper. There's a creeper of some sort there behind them. I don't want it to strangle them over the summer. And then we have another holly tree there, which has seeded itself. All the birds seeded it. There's a couple of hollies in here now that weren't here when we moved in, and we just let things grow where they are. And this big tree is it's a mulberry tree. Oh, my battery's low. All right, well, you all have a wonderful day. See you later. Bye.